Israeli attack on Aleppo is crime against humanity, Iran says. So far this year, Israel has attacked Syrian territory on at least 4 occasions. On Tuesday, the Iranian Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani said, in a strong condemnation, that the Zionist attack on Syria's Aleppo International Airport is a crime against humanity. Israel targeted the civil airport, the main route for the delivery of international humanitarian aid to the Syrian city, when the quake-stricken people in Aleppo are still under tough circumstances, he said. Slamming the attack as a flagrant case of crimes against humanity, Kanani regretted that some countries, as well as Western and human rights organizations, have remained silent in the face of continued brutal and inhumane Zionist attacks on Syria. The attack damaged the Aleppo airport's runway and took it out of service, already heavily destructed as a result of the years-long war in Syria. Aleppo has also suffered considerable damage in the deadly earthquakes that hit southern Turkey and northwestern Syria on February 6th. As a result of the damage caused to the runway, the Syrian civil aviation authorities diverted planes providing assistance to those affected by the earthquakes to Damascus at Latakia. The Transport Ministry announced that technical terms are inspecting the airport facilities to determine the extent of the damage and repair the infrastructure affected by the attack. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights recalled that the Aleppo airport had already been the target of another missile attack in September 2022. On that occasion, the impact caused significant material damage and forced the suspension of air traffic temporarily. So far this year, the Zionists have attacked Syrian territory on at least 4 occasions. Its authorities have justified these actions by arguing that Syria harbors Lebanese and Iranian armed groups. From Press TV, Israeli airstrike on Aleppo airport constitutes gross violation of international law. The Syrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and expatriates said in a statement on Tuesday that strikes once again reflect the ugliest forms of barbarism and inhumanity of the Tel Aviv regime, the country's official news agency reported. The Syrian ministry also said the Israeli strike is considered a double crime as it targeted a civilian airport as well as the main channel for the delivery of humanitarian aid to the victims of the devastating earthquake that hit the area on February 6th. It further warned Israel about the repercussions of its acts of aggression against the Arab country, calling on the international community to take the necessary measures to end the Israeli regime's crimes. Earlier on Tuesday, Israeli aircraft carried out a new strike against the internal airport in Aleppo from the direction of the Mediterranean Sea west of the city of Latakia. Syrian media, quoting a military source, reported that the attack caused only material damage to the runway of Aleppo International Airport and took the airport out of service. Syrian media had earlier said that the country's air defenses intercepted Israeli missiles coming from the direction of the Mediterranean, shooting down a number of them. The new Israeli strike comes as the international airport in Aleppo is one of the main portals of entry for foreign airplanes carrying humanitarian aid to the victims of the country's recent devastating earthquake. Zionists frequently violate Syrian sovereignty by carrying out missile attacks on targets inside the country, mostly using the airspace of Lebanon or the occupied territories. The targets include residential buildings, military positions, especially those of the Hezbollah resistance movement, which has played a key role in helping the Syrian army in its fight against foreign-backed terrorists, are also frequently hit by Zionist strikes. The Tel Aviv regime has been a main supporter of terrorist groups that have battled the government of President Bashar al-Assad since the foreign-backed militancy erupted in Syria in early 2011. Syria has repeatedly complained to the UN over Zionist assaults, urging the Security Council to take action against Tel Aviv's crimes. The calls have, however, fallen on deaf ears. And from People's Dispatch, Israeli airstrikes target Aleppo airport, making aid delivery in Syria more difficult. The Airstrike is expected to affect aid delivery to areas affected by the devastating earthquake on February 6, in which 6,000 were killed in Syria and thousands more injured and displaced. Early in the morning of Tuesday, March 7th, an Israeli airstrike damaged part of Aleppo International Airport in Syria. This will affect aid delivery to one of Syria's provinces worst affected by last month's earthquake. The Syrian Arab news agency Sana quoted an unnamed Syrian military source according to whom at around 2 a.m. on Tuesday, the Israeli enemy carried out an aerial act of aggression from the direction of the Mediterranean west of Latakia, targeting Aleppo International Airport, which led to material damage at the airport as it went out of service. Though there have been no reports of casualties yet, Sana noted in a tweet that due to the damage, Syria's transport ministries decided to shift all humanitarian aid planes and schedules flight from Aleppo Airport to Damascus Airport. Aleppo is one of the four provinces in Syria most affected by last month's earthquake. The other three were Latakia, Idlib, and Hama, which killed over 50,000 people in total in both Turkey and Syria. In Syria alone, close to 6,000 people were killed. Aleppo Airport was being used to transport international aid to the earthquake-affected areas in Syria's northwest. Damascus is more than 224 miles away from Aleppo, which may affect the speed of aid delivery. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied its role in the airstrike so far. Zionists frequently violate Syrian and Lebanese airspace and carry out attacks within Syria. It's carried out hundreds of such attacks inside Syria since the beginning of the war in the country in 2011. Hundreds of Syrians have been killed in these attacks, which have also caused large-scale destruction and damage to infrastructure in the war-ravaged country. At least 5 Syrians were killed in similar Zionist attacks in the civilian areas of capital Damascus on February 19th. A Zionist airstrike in early January had partially damaged the Damascus International Airport and killed 2 Syrian soldiers. The damage to the airport also affected aid and rescue operations in the country after the February 6 earthquake, as it was not fully operational at the time. Zionists usually do not acknowledge those attacks. On the rare occasion when they do, they try to justify them by terming them defensive operations, allegedly targeting supposed Iranian military presence in Syria. Both Iran and Syria have contested such claims. The Syrian government on previous occasions has accused Israel of trying to prolong the war in the country by aiding rebel forces through these airstrikes. Syria has also filed several complaints in the UNSC asking that action be taken against the Zionists. From Aram Online, Israel strikes knockout airport in Syria's Aleppo ministry. Israel warplanes struck Aleppo airport before dawn Tuesday, causing significant damage that halted flights to and from Syria's war and quake-battered city, the defense ministry said. At exactly 2:07 a.m., 23:07 GMT Monday, the Israeli enemy carried out an air attack from the Mediterranean west of Latakia, targeting Aleppo International Airport. Syria's defense ministry said in a statement that the damage forced authorities to close the airport to all flights. There was no immediate word on any casualties. The foreign ministry called the Zionist strike a double crime, saying that it targeted a civilian airport and a main channel for the flow of aid to areas hit by last month's earthquake. The airport's been a major conduit for aid flights since the February 6 earthquake devastated swaths of southeastern Turkey and neighboring Syria, and they too were brought to a stop, a transport ministry official said. More than 88 flights have landed in Aleppo over the past month with relief supplies for quake-hit areas, transport ministry official Suleiman Khalil told AFP. It's no longer possible to receive aid flights until the damage has been repaired, he added. He said all flights that were supposed to head to Aleppo will land in the capital Damascus or the international airport in the coastal province of Latakia. There was no comment from Zionist officials. Zionists carry out hundreds of strikes on targets inside government-controlled parts of Syria in recent years, including attacks on the Damascus and Aleppo airports, but it rarely acknowledges or discusses the operations. Zionists have attacked Aleppo airport several times in recent years, with the strike last September putting it out of service for a few days. On February 19, Zionist airstrikes targeted residential areas in Syria's capital, Damascus, killing at least 5 people and wounding 15, according to Syrian state news. On January, the Syrian army said Zionist military fired missiles toward the capital's international airport, putting it out of service and killing 2 soldiers. That attack came amid Zionist fears the Damascus airport was being used to funnel Iranian weaponry into the country. From Mehr News Agency, aggression on Aleppo airport shows Zionist regime's barbarism. Foreign and Expatriates Ministry has stressed that the criminal aggression perpetrated by the Israel regime on Tuesday at dawn, which targeted Aleppo International Airport and caused it to go out of service, is considered a double crime, as it targeted from one hand a civil airport, and on the other hand it targeted one of the main channels for the delivery of humanitarian aid from inside and outside Syria to the victims of the devastating earthquake that hit the area on February 6th, Sana reported. The ministry added in a statement posted on its page on Twitter that this aggression reflects again the ugliest forms of barbarism and inhumanity of the Israel regime and its practice of the most outrageous violations of the international law, including the international humanitarian law. Syria warns the Zionists against the repercussions of continuing commitment of those crimes. The ministry also said, calling upon the international community to condemn them and work on putting an end for them, particularly that they plan more threats and risks on the security and peace of the region and the world. The Zionists carried out an air attack from the direction of the Mediterranean Sea west of Latakia, targeting Aleppo International Airport early on Tuesday morning. The city of Aleppo was heavily damaged in the deadly 7.8 magnitude earthquake that hit southern Turkey and northwestern Syria last month. A number of countries have since sent aid shipments to the city's airport. And from TurkeyNewspaper.com, Zionists launched airstrike on Aleppo International Airport. Since last year, Zionist airstrikes on Syria have been increasing. This time, the Zionist army attacked Aleppo International Airport on Tuesday. It's unknown if there were any casualties in the attack. According to the Syrian state news agency Sana, citing a military source on Tuesday, Zionists launched an airstrike on Syria. The attack took place at Aleppo International Airport. The attack damaged the runway. The airport was out of service. Syrian air defenses intercepted missiles launched from the Mediterranean Sea west of the coastal city of Latakia at 2:07 a.m. local time, Sana added. There was no explanation for the loss of life. Attacks continue since last year. Last year, Israel intensified strikes on Syrian airports to disrupt Tehran's increasing use of aerial supply lines to deliver arms to allies in Syria and Lebanon, including Hezbollah. In the attack carried out by the Zionists on February 19th, settlements in Damascus were targeted. 5 people were killed and 15 were injured in the attack. On January 2nd, the Syrian army said Israel's military fired missiles toward the capital's international airport, putting it out of service and killing 2 soldiers. And we'll return with more